This week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures takes us to the Patagonia region of Argentina on a free-range hunt for trophy red stags. Steve's Outdoor Adventures client Rick Stewart, along with Steve West, harvest tremendous red stag in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. We're hunting the stags of Patagonia on another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics and the Eliminator Laser Scope, Stormcloth 2 Performance Outerwear, Corbon DPX Ammunition, Kershaw Knives, the new Bresser 360 Trail Camera, Steiner Binoculars, Outdoor Trail Freeze-Dried Foods, Montana Decoy Company, CVA Muzzle Loaders, and UDAP Bear Pepper Spray.
Welcome to this week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Today I'm going to take you to one of my favorite hunting areas in the world, the Patagonia region of Argentina, where I'll be hunting trophy red stags with my good friend and client, Rick Stewart. In 1920, the red deer were introduced into the La Pampa region of Argentina by Pedro Luro. Their numbers quickly increased, and by the 1950s, herds had expanded southward into the Patagonia region, located in the foothills of the Andes Mountains. Today, Patagonia has become one of the most popular red stag hunting destinations in the world. Even though red deer originated in Europe, the two most popular hunting destinations in the world are Argentina and New Zealand. Both areas offer incredible hunting for red stags, but there are distinct differences between the two locations. New Zealand was first known for growing some incredibly huge red stags. What most of the world did not know was that the stags were almost all being raised inside high-fence preserves. In fact, to this day, a lot of hunters go to New Zealand and are shocked to find out that they'll be hunting inside of a high-fenced area. And while there's a fair amount of free-range red stag hunting available in New Zealand, the quality of the free-range red stag trophies is not very good. In fact, it's not even comparable to those that are grown inside the high-fence preserves. Conversely, the majority of red stag hunting in Patagonia is conducted under free-range conditions. There are some high-fenced hunting areas available to those hunters who want to take home some monster stags like the ones commonly taken on New Zealand estates. However, the vast majority of hunters opt to pursue the free-range red deer in the scenic foothills of the Andes Mountains. At this time, one of the best values for traveling hunters is an Argentina red stag hunt. For the cost of a top-end mule deer or elk hunt in the United States, hunters can travel to southern Argentina for a world-class hunting experience. And it's worth noting that over the years, I've never had a client not come home without his trophy stag. This week, we'll be hunting on a new private ranch in the Patagonia region. This particular property encompasses well over 100,000 acres, and it has never been hunted before. Now, I arranged this hunt not only to film for our television show, but also to check out the quality of the hunting on the ranch and the professionalism of the guides and staff. Now, my trip to Argentina started in the Portland, Oregon airport. From there, I had a 10-hour overnight flight to Buenos Aires, and then a short 2.5-hour flight to San Carlos de Bariloche, which was my final destination. Now, I've been coming to Argentina for the better part of the last decade, and I have extensive hunting experience in the Patagonia region, so I know good hunting when I find it. And I have to tell you that this ranch impressed me right away. This property held a lot of red deer, and even though we were going to be hunting before the peak of the rut in early March, we were going to be able to see several mature stags. My client Rick Stewart had never hunted red deer before, and I could tell he was eager to get a big stag in his sights. We settled in at the lodge, checked the zero on our rifles, and prepared for our first day of hunting.
I've always wanted to come to Argentina. I've heard a lot about the country. I've seen pictures, of course, and videos, and it's just a beautiful country from what I can tell, and I was expecting everything I found. Lots of red deer, beautiful, beautiful countryside. We're hunting on a beautiful ranch here in the Patagonia region of Argentina, which, you know, Patagonia has always been a colorful adventure to begin with, and I've always looked forward to it.
Stay tuned to Steve's Outdoor Adventures. After the break, Rick Stewart harvests a trophy stag in Argentina.
This segment of Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Little Hottie's Hand Warmers.
What intrigued me the most about this hunt is it's all free range. We're on a ranch, 125,000 acres, but all of these animals run from ranch to ranch. It doesn't matter. In other parts of the world, you know, they're all fenced. This is a strictly free range hunt. The quality of the red deer on these ranches is just amazing. We've got some huge red deer out here. We've seen hundreds a day, and just very large deer. Lots of quality trophy animals. I don't know what else to tell you.
Patagonia's open terrain allows for excellent visibility, not only for the hunters, but for the red deer as well, making for some exciting stalks where patience and stealth are key. Steve, Rick, and their guide Andre happen onto a big red deer, but it was too late on this wise old stag. In a matter of seconds, he had cleared country, making the opportunity of a shot totally impossible.
Old with lots of character. He had, hey, on his left side he had a GT, but not his right side.
For 2.5 days, we trekked all over these hills, and they look like the foothills, but let me tell you what, this is some tough walking. Rocky, these little hand grenade bushes that, you know, see, I rolled down the mountain twice already. But the satisfaction of finally finding the animal that you're going to take, and the stalk after a hard day, finally getting the opportunity, that's what it's all worth. It's worth every bit of it. All the sweat, all the bumps, all the bruises, all the cuts. That's what you're here for.
We hunted hard, and after several stalks, we finally found the stag Rick was after, and the hunt was on. Now, our first move was to climb up the opposite side of the hill to a position above the stag in order to get a perfect shot. When we got up there, the stag was nowhere to be found. Now, what we didn't know was that he had come up a little ways on the hill and bedded not 15 feet below us. He stayed there the entire time while we were on the hill looking for him. Eventually, we backed off the hill, and we actually chased another stag for a short ways and then came back around to where we had originally spotted the big stag. That's when I heard a roar right in front of us, and I spotted the big stag bedded in the brush right below the rocks where we had been glassing for him.
We got done chasing this other stag around, the one we originally wanted. Turns out he was about 4 or 5 yards underneath us the whole time. Bed under a bush. We got back over here to the 2-track road and heard a roar. We looked back and there he was. He's just there. We were within 5 yards of this big stag for like 30 minutes and never knew he was there. If the sun didn't betray him and he didn't roar, we'd walked and drove right on past him. We'd have never known he was there. It's a big, heavy, old stag. He's awesome.
Since he was bedded facing away from us and we had the wind in our favor, the stalk was simple, but we still had a lot of open country to cross. If he turned his head and looked our way, we would be busted and way out of rifle range.
We crawl on our hands and knees up to about 240 yards so we can get a shot. He's still laying down under a tree in the shade. It's hard for me to see because I don't see very well anyway. And finally, Steve lets out a few roars imitating the red deer, and he reacts. And he stands up and I'm looking through the scope at this magnificent beast.
Hit him. Yeah! Yeah! That's how you smoke them! Yeah! That's how you do it! Yes! He had a wall of brush in front of him. Oh, he's done. He whopped him right in the shoulder. Yeah! Woo. That's a big, heavy stag. When he stood up, I was like, oh, he's bigger. Good job, buddy. Every now and then a gift falls in your lap when you've been out busting your butt in the field.
As a hunter, I would highly recommend Argentina, specifically the Patagonia region where we are now, which has been my experience, to anybody who wants an outstanding adventure. It's not an easy adventure. You'll work for everything you get, but it's well worth the time and effort.
I'm telling you, 240 yards, 165 grain Barnes X out of a 300 Winchester short magnum, smoked the shoulders. That is a potent combination for big game anywhere. And I gotta tell you, I was really impressed with the performance of the gun, caliber, and bullet. And really impressed with your shooting, but I gotta tell you, that was awesome.
Thank you.
You smoked him. It doesn't get much better than this. Once again, free range, Patagonia, Argentina. What more do we need to say? Here it is. Lots of deer, lots of fun, and memories that last a lifetime.
And lots of beautiful scenery.
Oh, for sure. Hey, congratulations once again. Well, folks, we've got to get him all cleaned up and taken care of and packed off the mountain, but there's still a lot of hunting left to be done.
Stay tuned to Steve's Outdoor Adventures. When we return, Steve West begins a stalk on a rutting stag in Patagonia.
Now, we had spent about 3.5 days of our 5-day hunt trying to get Ricky's stag, but given the fact that we were seeing scores of red deer every day, I had no doubt that I'd get a big stag before the end of the hunt.
Come over to a part of the ranch we haven't been to yet. In fact, it's not been hunted in a long time. And we've just spotted a really big old stag with a big harem of hinds.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a big, heavy, old, wide stag. Old stag. Just exactly what we've been looking for. He's pushing them up into a bedding area right now that we think is going to be just prime for us. So we're going to go look at a couple other spots, and if we don't see anything better, we're going to come back and get a real close look at him, because we can come over the hill with the sun at our back and the wind in our face. It would be absolutely perfect. We're moving around to get the sun at our back, the wind in our face. He sounds like a grumpy old bugger. I see him walking there. In the green. Hey, in the green right there. Grow time on his left.
This was an old stag, and he had massive dark antlers. He would have made an exceptional trophy for anyone, but I was looking for something a little better, so I decided to pass.
We got the drop on that one. He was a heck of a good stag. Old, maybe 13, 14 years old. Super heavy, but he was missing a G2 and his points were short. Just a deer that would have been really good 2 or 3 years ago. In fact, I'll bet he was downright phenomenal. But we've seen some other bigger stags out here today. There's a bigger one on the hill up here behind us. And another one over here. So we're going to keep sneaking and peeking, seeing what we can find. Make my guides a little miffed I didn't shoot that one.
Stay tuned to Steve's Outdoor Adventures. When we return, Steve West makes a long-range shot on a trophy stag in Argentina. We'll be right back.
Right before dark on the last night of my hunt, I finally spotted the stag I wanted pushing his hinds out into the meadows. We left Rick at the truck and rushed to climb up over the top of a hill to get the drop on the stag. Now we beat him to the spot and got all set up. It was absolutely perfect. He was rutting the hinds and closing the distance. At first he started at over 500 yards away, and then when he got to within 250 yards of us, he raked up some brush in his antlers and put on a show, walking around like he was the king of the hill. Everything was perfect. The deer were feeding right to us. All of a sudden the hinds started to run off, and of course the stag was in hot pursuit. We had the wind in our favor and we were well hidden. But what we didn't know was that our good buddy Rick wanted to watch the show. And I don't want to throw him under the bus, but it just might be possible that he was skylined at the top of the hill. Now it's a good thing for Rick that I can shoot long distances, and that the stag stopped for a minute in a small opening in the brushy hillside, and that was his final mistake.
$550?
Around, yeah.
I put the 500 right at the top of his shoulder. But here we are the last night in Argentina, Patagonia region, and the hunt came together in the final minutes of the final day. It was absolutely picture perfect. We had this stag pushing his hinds right toward us in a meadow. I was going to try and let him get inside 300 yards. Unfortunately, the wind swirled around, he got us. They all took off running across the hillside. Andreas kept calling out ranges. I was going to have to stretch one out, but luckily we had the Burris ballistic plex scope on the gun. I was able to put the crosshair for the distance on him and squeeze it off. And what we have here is an incredible animal. This deer may not have the massive crowns and things like that, but he's got age, length of points. He has no teeth left in his mouth. He was really, really old, and not only that, he was a great character for the camera. He got his head caught in the brush, and it was just a fantastic hunt. Can't say enough great things about the service that we've experienced here and the quality of the hunting on this particular property. We saw a tremendous number of really, really, really old deer and some fantastic trophies, and I know this one will have a special place on my wall.
If you would like to book your own guided big game hunt in the Patagonia region of Argentina, give our office a call. The toll-free number and our website address are listed at the bottom of the screen, and we're always available to take your calls and answer your questions. And don't forget to check out our new virtual catalog on the website. It lists several of our top outfitters and guides from around the world. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this week's show. But please remember to join us next week for another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.